Call this special meeting of council to order at 12 p.m. I need a motion for the waiver of the minutes, please.
Resolved that the adoption of the minutes of the July 11th, 2022 regular meeting of council be waived until the next regular meeting of council.
Moved by Councillor Meyer and seconded by Councillor Hespy. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's carried. Thank you. Our item of business today is the deferred business. It's the award for the tender for Saskatchewan Avenue West from Elm Street through 4th Street West. Councillor Espy, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The issue is to award the contract for the Saskatchewan Avenue West, Elm Street to 4th Street West pavement renewal as specified in tender number 22 OPS 008. The tender for Saskatchewan Avenue West pavement renewal closed on July the 8th, 2022. This is the third and final tender for the larger rehabilitation project of Saskatchewan Avenue West from 4th Street to Elm Street. 2 tenders were received, and they are attached in the table before you. This tender was prepared by Stantec Consulting and advertised on the city website as well as Merck's. Stantec's opinion of probable costs, for this tender was $15,736,373. The tender amount includes a contingency allowance of $250,000. The increases in prices over the estimate could be due to several factors, including inflationary volatility, labor market shortages, as well as changes in MIT specifications for asphalt and granular base. Maple Leaf Construction Limited had the lowest bid price and the highest points value. If the project is awarded to Maple Leaf Construction Limited, approximately $10 million of the cost would be covered through the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, and the City of Portage la Prairie has been approved for debentures that would cover the remaining costs of $12,585,425.70. The work is scheduled to be started this July and be completed in 3 phases with final completion in the fall of 2024. In anticipation of higher costs, the city had proactively increased its approved borrowing authority with the municipal board in late 2021 and included the remaining full project in the 2022 budget. Although it was not expected we would need to incur or require council approval on all remaining costs in 2022. This allows the city to include non-tendered costs for utilities and other project contingencies in the 2023 budget, currently projected at $2.1 million, and to be incurred in 2023 and 2024. This tender represents the last major award component of the Saskatchewan Avenue West redevelopment project, with 95% of the project being awarded. It is the administrative recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie award the contract for Saskatchewan Avenue West, Elm Street to 4th Street West pavement renewal as specified in tender number 22 OPS 008 to Maple Leaf Construction for the amount of $22,585,425.70 net of GST. And then we have an or here, but I will move the first one.
Moved by Councillor Espy and seconded by Councillor Meyer. Questions or comments on the motion? Councillor Meyer?
Thank
you.
Sorry, Councillor Meyer first and then Councillor Knox.
Sorry, thank you, Your Worship. And of course, I'm certainly here to, at this point, support this recommendation as we have. Obviously, the second recommendation is up there if this one doesn't pass. But I guess in order for me to understand fully this one, when it talks about looking for cost-saving measures, and this would be, of course, addressed to administration, what would those cost-saving measures be? What would it have for a effect on the timeline of the project? And how would it ultimately affect the project at the end of the day?
Through Your Worship to Councillor Meyer. So primarily, when you look for cost-saving options on a project like this, there's some things that you just can't cut, right? You need so much asphalt, you need so much curbing. Primarily, the items that administration would review with the contractor once awarded, and we do have that ability to do that. Once we have awarded a tender, then we can go into negotiations about, okay, this is, we're going to scale back certain components of the project. It would primarily be the greenscaping components of the project, perhaps some of the secondary pathways that aren't conditional on funding. But yeah, it would mostly be the landscaping type components of the project. Our initial designs had landscaping approved at, I would say, a reasonably high level, and the goal was, for increased beautification of the project. There's different ways to approach it, and I think the contractor and administration will work out ways that we could try to keep that standard, but look for cost-saving options. I don't want to give the impression to council that there's millions and millions of dollars that could be removed from this project. I think, what I would suggest, and I respect there was 2 motions here, Councillor Espy, but I think you could move your first motion, and then the implied direction from council is for administration to come back with some options to council.
Yeah, I do have a further comment once Councillor Knox is finished.
Sure. Finishing with Councillor Meyer's question, what we would be looking at is primarily the landscaping components and beautification components on ways that we could more effectively do it. So, for example, the original design has concrete benches. We've already had in preliminary discussions with the contractor saying there's ways we can reduce those costs significantly if we go different options. And we would bring those options back to council for consideration.
Thank you. And then just part 2 is how would that affect the timeline?
Yes, through your worship to Councillor Meyer. Those are later components of the project, so I don't think they would significantly delay as long as we're not having any major design changes. I think that primarily those could be done while we're working on the project. So I don't believe there'd be any significant delays depending on the direction of council on how much changes would happen.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Knox, your question?
I have more of a comment, is that I am definitely in favor of moving forward with this, but I am in favor of some due diligence and making sure that we are looking for some cost savings throughout, because we are significantly higher than what we had originally planned for. So I think we have to be cognizant of that and make sure that we're doing the best to bring some of those costs down in the long run.
Okay, thank you. And
May I respond to that, Your Worship? Through Your Worship to Councillor Knox, thank you for your comment. And again, I do believe that this first motion can carry, and then we can, I think, have that direction from council to work with our contractor once awarded, come back to council with some options that could potentially reduce the overall cost of the contract for approval from council, and then we can move forward. So I feel like the first motion moved by Councillor Espy can achieve the objectives of the second suggested motion.
Councillor Espy.
That was sort of what I was alluding to as well. That the second part of that motion, or the second option for the motion, was almost redundant, because we generally will ask administration to look for cost-saving measures anyway, and assume that that's happening, especially in a situation like this. I will say I'm not interested in changing the aesthetic or removing options from the design, because I've always believed if we're going to do something, we should do it right and as planned and as we presented to the public at one point. So those are my comments.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Meyer, you had a comment?
Thank you. If I can maybe have a follow-up question. And again, I really want to strongly echo Councillor Espy's comments on that as well. This is a project that we know that's been in the makings, and it's 40 years past due. The last thing I want to do is be sitting here 10 years from now saying, if only we did this. So I really want us and administration to work hard on making sure that it's as close to that as possible. I mean, I think I can live with a wood or a different type of a bench. But we're not talking $1 million savings when we're talking benches, right? As our city manager, Mr. Pito, had stated. But so I really support the first one. I want to get this project moving and get it on the way with as least delays as possible. So that was just my last comment. Thank you, Your Worship.
Further questions or comments from council? One final check. Councillor Buds, Councillor Knox, any further questions or comments?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have no further comments or questions. They've been addressed, and yes, I echo everybody's comments. It is a big project. We want to make sure we're doing it right, but yet we are stewards of the public dollars, so administration will be directed to look for cost savings without compromising the end design throughout the process. But yeah, nothing further from me. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the motion? Councillor Knox and Councillor Buds?
Sorry, we just missed that last comment there, Your Worship.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
And the motion is carried. And the special meeting of council is adjourned at 12:10 p.m. a.m. p.m.
Did you get the delivery of your lunches?
Thanks, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day.